Hey, my name is Jared, and I'm an engineering student at Chico State, and this is my ADS ground station, which is used for tracking aircraft. So there's three main parts to this station. First up is the Raspberry Pi, which is the brains of the operation. It runs all the software. And on the right there, that little blue USB stick is the SDR, which stands for Software Defined Radio. All the way at the top of this sturdy ladder is our antenna, which is tuned to 1090 megahertz and can see for up to 200 miles in good conditions. While I could have spent $200 on a nice antenna stand and electrical box, I instead opted for this orchard ladder and a stool to host all the equipment. With this ladder, I was able to get the antenna about 15 feet off the ground, which is already in an open field. With these two factors combined, that gives us great range for our ADS tracking station. This is the TAR 1090 website, and it connects directly to the Pi over Wi-Fi. And once you get all the data, you can see all the aircraft, which are color-coded by altitude. It's a real clear day, so we're getting about 200 miles of range, which is really good for an antenna on a ladder. This is a time-lapse of the tracking website, and while it's very fun to look at, it gives us a very useful idea of how reliable the ADS ground station can actually be. So as I mentioned earlier, the planes are color-coded by altitude. So all the purple and blue ones, they're very high up in the sky and they're very easy to track. They get a good signal. But all the red, brown, and orange ones, those are low to the ground, and you'll see them popping in and out of the map. That's because their signal's pretty weak and it's hard for the ADS ground station to actually see them. So with that drawback in mind, I made two comparisons. On the right we have Flightradar 24, which is a very popular aircraft tracking map, and on the left is my ADS ground tracking station. I was very surprised by the results of this comparison. I figured Flightradar would be much more consistent and would simply show many more aircraft than my ground station could. But when you compare the two maps, you can see that my ADS ground station is seeing a lot of the same stuff that Flightradar is, and it has about the same consistency. This goes to show that the ground station is very reliable from 100 miles to about 150 miles, but the more south you go, you'll see that there's a lot of blank spaces on the ADS tracking station map, while Flightradar is populated with a bunch of planes. So the further out you go, the less reliable the tracking station becomes, and that's when Flightradar becomes very useful when compared to the ADS ground tracker. But what Flightradar doesn't give you is analytics. Here we have three graphs that are working in tandem with the ADS-B tracking station. These graphs can show us what kind of data the ADS tracking station is collecting. So at the top we have the message rate, and that shows us how efficient the receiver is at decoding all the data we get from the aircraft. So on the bottom left we have the aircraft scene graph, and this shows us how many aircraft the system is tracking at any given moment. At the bottom right we have the track scene graph, and that gives us the number of unique aircraft paths that we can detect per hour. This shows us how persistent the signals of the aircraft are and how many one-time signals we get. All these analytics led me to question the effectiveness of the antenna and the ladder. So as a little experiment, I used the antenna provided with the SDR to see how the results would vary. As it turns out, the antenna and the ladder are crucial to getting good signals because just the standard provided antenna gave us about half as many signals as the ladder and antenna combo gave us. This goes to show how important it is to have a good height and an even better antenna in order to get good range and good signal quality. While this project was fairly easy to set up and understand, there were a few issues I ran into along the way. This is the first time-lapse that I took of the TAR 1090 website, and if you look closely, you'll notice that a majority of the aircraft are completely stationary. This cluttered the map and made it unpleasant to look at, so I wanted to fix this as soon as possible. To fix this, I went into the TAR 1090 config and added hide tracks after 180, which essentially made it to where every aircraft that doesn't send me a ping within 3 minutes gets removed from the map. I also added hide no position, which made it to where every aircraft that was sending me data but not a position was removed from the map. On top of this, I set up a cron job to restart TAR 1090 every 30 minutes, just to keep things fresh as a precaution. All of this resulted in the nice clean map that we have now, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Overall, this project was a ton of fun and I learned a lot. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.